we've had 3 weekends in a row at Mar-a-Lago.
Mm-hmm. The
And
Winter White House.
Yeah, the Winter White House, sorry. And some people are starting to ask, this looks like a pretty expensive little weekend. And I saw a report yesterday that that of course the White House won't tell what these weekends cost. Maybe they haven't added up all the bills yet. But that under President Obama, somebody did figure out a 3-day weekend in Florida cost American taxpayers $3 million. So you've got 3 weekends in a row at Mar-a-Lago, upwards of over 3. So it came out to about $10 million for those 3 weekends. The entire security bill for President Obama last year was $12 million. You have all the security that we're providing for Melania Trump and Barron in New York, and for Trump Tower, because Obama may decide to go there, right? So you add Mar-a-Lago, you add Trump Tower, and then you've got Donald Jr. and Eric flying around the world making business deals with Secret Service protection. I guess my question is, do the American people care? But it looks like this is going to be the most, certainly, by far, the most expensive presidency ever.
I think the American people absolutely would care if there wasn't such a sheer volume, as we were saying, of information to absorb, where this hasn't even broken through in terms of the top sort of stories that they could pay attention to.
Good point.
Where any given day you have disarray, you have the firing of the National Security Advisor, you have a cabinet secretary going down, you have Donald Trump tweeting something outrageous, you have him still making false claims about voter fraud, and there's only so much that people can take in, where if it had been another president, this would very much be at the forefront of the news cycle. And I also think it's interesting because you do find a lot of people would complain, for example, as you say, about what the cost may have been if First Lady Michelle Obama had traveled somewhere with the girls, if the president had gone away for the weekend. Of course, golfing was an issue. Bizarrely enough, the White House over the weekend was not straightforward about how many holes of golf Donald Trump had played.
Or no, they wouldn't even admit that he played at all.
First they would admit he played
yesterday. Yeah,
then they said only a couple of holes.
Right.
Then obviously his golfing partner said, no, I played a full 18. Holes of golf. So
just admit he played. If you go to a golf course, it's kind of a safe assumption, and if you're there 4 or 5 hours, that you played golf.
Right.
Why try to cover it up? Oh, he was having top-level security meetings, at the golf course.
Right. And he was very critical of President Obama for playing golf, and here you are in the position, and you see that this is actually a fairly normal thing for presidents to do. But the cost is one aspect. The other aspect, though, because you mentioned Mar-a-Lago, that I think has raised a lot of questions, is security, because you had the incident where Shinzo Abe of Japan was in town visiting and was over at Mar-a-Lago with the president, and the White House is disputing this idea that any classified information was being shared over a dinner, but they're discussing this, missile test on the part of North Korea. And it's not just the question of, is Donald Trump actually going to this secure compartmentalized facility, what they call SCIF, to be briefed on classified matters, but it's also the idea that you have people paying $200,000 for membership. In return, they have this up-close and personal access to the president. Not to mention, unlike the White House, where you have a public log of who goes in and out, there's no public log of who goes in and out of Mar-a-Lago. We don't know what the vetting procedures are for people who subscribe in terms of membership.
Right.
And there's just no sense of what the mechanisms are that are in place, because at the end of the day they could call it the Winter White House, but it's not the White House.
No.
And that would also be a much bigger story again if you didn't just have a constant churn where you can only keep track of so many.
No, think about it. It's a club. It's a club where these people can show up for lunch, show up for dinner, as long as they pay their $200,000 plus $14,000 a year, I think, annual dues or something like that. The $200,000 is just to get in.
Right. And it was $100,000.
They've doubled it.
And they doubled it.
And for that price, you really get to schmooze you got access that members of Congress don't get, that lobbyists don't get, that a lot of important people, important heads of causes or organizations never get. And that's the cheer just at lunch, and the president of the United States walks up to your table. Hey, what's going on? And you have a chance to chat him up, right? But it's limited to even the number of members is limited, but it's limited to people who can afford $200,000 a year. I mean, it's a whole new approach to the White House we've never seen before, and it cheapens it, I believe, but certainly limits.
Cheapens it, Bill. It's the classiest.
Well,
only the classiest, most beautiful White House we've ever seen.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
If that's your taste. Yeah. Pretty tacky. The pictures of that sitting in that living room yesterday with the canned classical music overhead, sitting on this love seat with the two big gold chandeliers.
Well, of course, one of the first things that was done was to have the curtains changed from that kind of burgundy red to gold in the Oval Office. Everything must be gold.
Yeah. Well,